Have you ever cared about something, genuinely cared, and still avoided it? You know the assignment matters. You know the project could help you. You know the workout would make you feel better. You know the video needs to be edited. The room needs to be cleaned. The application needs to be finished. The message needs to be answered. And somehow you still do not start. You sit there doing anything else, checking your phone, opening another tab, getting a snack, organizing something random, watching one more video, telling yourself you're about to start but never actually starting. And the worst part is that you do care. That is what makes procrastination so frustrating. If you did not care, it would make sense. But when you do care, procrastination starts to feel like evidence that something is wrong with you. Most people explain it with one word, lazy, but that explanation is too simple. Laziness means you do not care enough to act. Procrastination is different. Procrastination can happen while you care deeply. Sometimes it happens because you care deeply. That sounds backwards, but it explains why the most important tasks are often the easiest to avoid. You can answer a random text, you can clean your desk, you can watch a video. But the thing that might actually change something, the thing that affects your grades, your money, your body, your future, or your self-image, that is the thing your brain suddenly does not want to touch. Because important tasks carry emotional weight. They do not just ask, "Can you do this?" They ask bigger questions. What if you try and fail? What if it is harder than you thought? What if you are not as good as you hoped? What if the result proves something about you? What if you start and realize you are already behind? That is why procrastination is often not a time management problem. It is an emotion problem. You are not only avoiding the task, you are avoiding the feeling attached to the task. On paper, the first action might be simple. Open the document, write the first paragraph, study the first section, record the first clip, go to the gym, send the email. But inside your head, the task becomes bigger than itself. The document becomes judgment. The gym becomes insecurity. The test becomes failure. The project becomes proof of whether you are talented. The application becomes rejection. The messy room becomes guilt. Your brain looks at all of that and says, "Not right now," so you avoid it. And for a few minutes, avoidance works. That is the trap. When you procrastinate, you get an immediate reward, relief. The second you decide not to start, the pressure drops. You do not have to face the blank page yet. You do not have to feel confused yet. You do not have to discover whether you are behind yet. You do not have to risk doing badly yet. Your brain learns something quickly. Avoiding the task makes the uncomfortable feeling go away. So the next time that feeling appears, your brain reaches for the same solution. Avoid again. This is how procrastination becomes a loop. You think about the task. The task creates discomfort. You avoid it. You feel temporary relief. Time passes. The task becomes more urgent. The discomfort gets stronger. Then you avoid it again. Procrastination does not remove the problem. It charges interest. The longer you avoid something, the heavier it gets. A 5-minute task can start to feel like a monster because you have been carrying it in your mind for days. The actual work may not be that hard, but the emotional buildup around it becomes exhausting. This is why you can avoid something for 3 hours, finally do it, and think, that was it. The task was not always the hard part. The hard part was the story your brain built around the task. And your brain is very good at building stories. It says, "I need to be in the right mood. I need more time. I work better under pressure. I will start after this. I should plan it more first. I need to clean my room before I can focus." Some of those thoughts sound reasonable. That is what makes them dangerous. Procrastination usually does not feel like choosing to fail. It feels like choosing a better moment, but that better moment keeps moving. Tomorrow becomes later. Later becomes tonight. Tonight becomes this weekend. This weekend becomes next week. And every time you delay, your brain protects you from discomfort, now while handing a bigger problem to your future self. You understand the consequences. You know the deadline will get closer. You know future you will be stressed. You know the task will not magically disappear. But your present brain cares more about immediate relief than future pain. Future stress feels distant. Present discomfort feels urgent. So your brain chooses relief now even if it creates more pressure later. That is why logic alone does not fix procrastination. You can know all the reasons you should start and still not start. You can make plans, download apps, write schedules, and watch productivity videos. But if the task still feels emotionally unsafe, your brain will keep trying to escape it. So the solution is not just to try harder. The solution is to change what starting feels like. Most people make the first step too big. They tell themselves, I need to write the essay. I need to study biology. I need to clean my entire room. I need to edit the whole video. I need to get my life together. Those are not first steps. Those are mountains. A real first step should be almost too small to respect. Open the document. Write one bad sentence. Put the book on the desk. Pick up 5 things. Fix the first 10 seconds. Put on the shoes. The point is not to finish. The point is to cross the line between not doing and doing. Before you start, the task lives in your imagination. And imagination makes tasks bigger, blurrier, and scarier. After you start, the task becomes physical. It has a first line, a first rep, a first item, a first mistake, a first decision. Now your brain has something real to work with. That is why starting often makes the task feel smaller. You are no longer fighting a cloud, you are working with an object. But there is another reason people delay. They are not just afraid of starting, they are afraid of starting badly. You do not just want to write, you want to write something good. You do not just want to record, you want the recording to sound right. You do not just want to study, you want to understand immediately. That pressure makes starting feel like a test, but first attempts are not supposed to prove anything. They are supposed to exist. The first draft is not the final version. The first workout is not the transformation. The first study session is not mastery. The first edit is not the finished video. The first version gives you something to improve. You cannot edit a blank page. You cannot fix a video that does not exist. You cannot improve a skill you never attempt. So, lower the quality requirement at the beginning. Do not make the final thing. Make the ugly version. Write the messy paragraph. Record the awkward take. Make the bad outline. Do the easy workout. Create the rough version. Then improve it. That is how real work usually happens. People do not create good things by waiting until they feel perfect. They create rough things, then revise them. Procrastination tells you confidence has to come before action, but often confidence comes after action. This is also why waiting for the right mood is dangerous. Your brain loves making action depend on a feeling. I will start when I feel motivated. I will work when I feel focused. I will do it when I feel ready. But feelings are unstable. If your system depends on the perfect feeling, your system is weak. People who get things done are not always more motivated. A lot of the time, they just stop asking their mood for permission. They make the action small enough to do even with the wrong mood. You do not need to feel inspired to open a document. You do not need to feel confident to write one sentence. You do not need to feel ready to do 5 minutes. And the strange part is that action can create the mood you were waiting for. You may not feel focused before starting, but after 5 minutes, your brain begins to settle into the task. You may not feel motivated before going to the gym, but after warming up, your body starts cooperating. You may not feel confident before writing, but after getting words on the page, the work becomes less mysterious. Mood often follows motion, but procrastination tells you it has to come first. That lie keeps people stuck. The environment matters too. If your phone is next to you, avoidance is 1 second away. If your game is open, avoidance is 1 click away. If your bed is right there, avoidance is inviting. You do not need to rely only on willpower. Add friction to the escape route. Put your phone across the room, close the extra tabs, block the app, put the book on the desk before you need it. Leave your shoes by the door. Open the project before taking a break. Make the good action visible. Make the escape action slightly annoying. Even a small amount of friction matters because procrastination often happens in tiny moments. A wave of discomfort appears and your brain reaches for the easiest relief. If the easiest relief is your phone, you lose. If the easiest next step is already in front of you, you have a better chance. The goal is not to remove all resistance. The goal is to make starting easier than avoiding. But there's one more thing that matters. Stop treating procrastination like a moral failure. That does not mean you excuse it. It means you read it correctly. Procrastination is information. It tells you that something about the task feels threatening, unclear, overwhelming, or tied too closely to your identity. Once you understand that, you can respond better. Confusion needs clarity. Fear needs lower stakes. Perfectionism needs an ugly first version. Distraction needs friction. Shame needs movement, not more self-attack. That is the real reason you procrastinate, even when you care. It is not because caring is missing. It is because caring makes the task matter. And when a task matters, it can bring pressure, fear, uncertainty, and self-judgment with it. Your brain tries to escape those feelings by avoiding the task, but the escape does not last. Avoidance gives you relief now and pressure later. Starting gives you discomfort now and relief later. And at some point, the question becomes which discomfort you want to pay. The uncomfortable feeling of starting or the heavier feeling of avoiding. Because the task will not get lighter just because you ignore it. It usually gets heavier. So the next time you catch yourself avoiding something you genuinely care about, do not start by calling yourself lazy. Ask what feeling you are trying not to feel. Then make the first step smaller than that feeling. Open the document. Write the bad sentence. Put on the shoes. Pick up 5 things. Study one question. Fix the first 10 seconds. Not because that tiny step solves everything, but because it breaks the spell. Procrastination makes the task feel impossible from far away. Starting proves it is real, and once it is real, you can work with it.